The station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Thanks for joining us for DC News Now at 4. I'm Mark Hall.
And I'm Marielle Carbone. Annalisa Gale has the day off.
All right, let's take a live look outside at the Washington Monument. Marielle, nice day in the neighborhood.
It's beautiful. I mean, here across the district and region, and it's expected to stay that way the rest of the week, which we love to hear that.
All right, well, let's head over to meteorologist David Matson with the first look at our forecast. Damon, no complaints from me, sir.
Me neither.
I was just going to say, I know Marielle was happy yesterday, and Mark.
Still happy today.
Yes. It seems like, Mark, you're in the same boat, though, right?
I'm all in, man. It's awesome.
All right. Hey, that's what we like to hear, and we're going to keep this trend rolling if we can. So far today, folks, yes, nearly a repeat of the beautiful conditions we had back on Monday. We started out the morning with generally cool temperatures. We had 50s again off to the west, lower 60s as you went to the east. But as is usually the case, we did have a little bubble of warmth right inside the Beltway near the DC Metro, where the temp did stay around 70 to kick off the morning. And ever since, with a good mix of sun and clouds, well, we've warmed up to very nice, manageable temperatures, upper 70s in places like Frederick and Winchester, lower to middle 80s through DC down into southern Maryland. And we're looking at just as fantastic of an end to the day, just like we started it here, folks. If anything, the few clouds we do have out there right now will start to break up, and we're going to see a rather clear sky as those temperatures cool off again heading into the overnight hours. Now, with plentiful sunshine still on tap here for the next couple of days, do we eventually start to see these temperatures rising? We'll have that answer in your full forecast coming up here in just a bit.
All right, Damon, thank you. Development at 4 in Virginia. An online sting operation ends with the arrest of a Langley High School teacher and head football coach.
Yeah, police say he's facing sex crime charges of a minor.
DC News Now's Dave Laval joins us from Langley High School.
And Dave, what do we know about the coach and the allegations that he's facing?
Well, good afternoon to you, Marielle and Mark. We can tell you disgust and anger are just some of the reactions we got from people that we spoke to here near campus and around town. Frederick County investigators say they arrested David Murray last Thursday, 8 days after he first contacted what he thought was a 15-year-old girl through a cellular messaging app. As we said, that person turned out to be a detective with the department's Internet Crimes Against Children section. Investigators say Murray was repeatedly told the girl was underage, 15 years old, but he continued to engage in a sexual conversation with the undercover detective and solicited numerous sex acts. The people we spoke to told us they can't believe it.
Not a coach. You know, a coach is more like a family head. When you leave, they can always be trusted with your kids, and something like this happen is I don't know.
School Superintendent Dr. Michelle Reed released a statement that said, quote, "We understand this will come as a shock to our community. We're doing everything we can to address this situation." Murray has also been suspended until further notice. There is no word yet when he will make his first appearance in Frederick County Court or who will take over the football team for now. We're live in Langley High School. Dave Laval, DC News Now.
Dave, thank you. A man is dead after being shot by a police officer in Alexandria.
And it happened, Marielle, last night at the Overlook condominium on Birds View Lane. According to a 911 call, a friend called police concerned the man might harm himself. When police arrived, they found the man in a stairwell with a gun. Neighbors tell DC News Now they heard police ask the man to put the gun down. Shots were fired and the man was pronounced dead. This story is still developing. Stay with DC News Now for updates.
And new at 4, a man is in custody accused of forcing his way into the Loudoun County Public Defender's office and threatening an employee. Riley Byro is now facing charges of felony burglary and intent to commit murder. Police say yesterday afternoon, Byro entered the Loudoun Street office looking for a specific employee and threatening to hurt that person who was nowhere to be found. Now, according to police, he then made his way to the nearby district courthouse where officers detained him. Bureau is being held without bond this afternoon. And new developments in the district. DC's 911 dispatch center is trying to fix its ongoing staffing problem by offering big bonuses for people who show up to their shifts.
And we find DC News Now's Randy Bass is at the Office of Unified Communications in Southeast with more details. Randy.
Yeah, Mark, Marielle, 911 staffing shortages in D.C. are nothing new, but as of today, workers here at the Office of Unified Communications, if they show up for all of their assigned shifts during the month of August, they'll be eligible for an $800 bonus right here at the OUC. This all according to Councilmember Brooke Pinto's office. Her office telling us today that the councilmember is in support of finding solutions here at the OUC and trying to explore additional solutions and incentives in order to improve staffing levels, including better compensation for people doing the important work of answering 911 calls. According to recent OUC data from this past Sunday, only 56% of 911 calls that day were answered in 15 seconds or less. 321 callers hung up the phone after waiting more than 15 seconds. Back in May, only 8 shifts out of 66 total met targeted staffing levels. The $800 bonus offer comes amid not only concerns over staffing, but over ongoing computer and tech issues and outages at the Office of Unified Communications. Public safety advocates and Washingtonians we talked to say it's time for solutions here.
They know how desperate it is in there, and many of those people are forced to work extended overtime on their shift they're already working. So they're pretty beleaguered, and some of them have gone to other 911 centers.
I'm all for it. I think anything that makes sure those people are there, ready to help when needed, is money well spent.
And we reached out to the OUC for comment on all of this. They said, in part, we appreciate how hard the team at OUC is working and will continue to acknowledge and reward those efforts. Live in Southeast, I'm Randy Bass, DC News Now.
Randy, thank you. Well, a sneaky flyer tries to bring a stun gun on a flight at DCA. TSA officers at Reagan National Airport removed what looked like an iPhone from a carry-on bag. It turns out it was actually a stun gun manufactured to look like a cell phone. Good work there by the TSA.
All right, Virginia drivers, listen up. The Department of Transportation is warning about fraudsters trying to take your money. VDOT officials posted this screenshot yesterday, and it's a text message asking someone to click on a link to avoid a late fee. VDOT has received hundreds of complaints like this in recent months. VDOT urges people who receive these texts to contact their customer service team to validate the claim. And you can also file a complaint with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center by including the phone number and the text and the link.
In the district, tens of millions of dollars will go to investing in city facilities. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser announced $61 million in federal funding from the American Rescue Plan Act. Now, the money will go towards improving libraries, rec centers, and senior centers around D.C. The mayor says the improvements will expand broadband internet access for individuals and families, as well as employment, education, and healthcare programming for seniors.
Well, Hagerstown's regional airport expanding service for one of their airlines. Allegiant Airlines announced that their flights scheduled for the rest of the year and the spring of 2025. Flights to St. Pete and Clearwater, Florida will continue 2 times per week, and flights to Orlando and Sanford will go year-round with 3 flights per week and a few extra during the holiday season. Flights to Myrtle Beach will go until November 11th.
It's always a good positive economic impact to have commercial airline flights. We really would like the folks that live along the I-70, 270 corridor to think of HDR as an option for them too.
Well, this year alone, more than 100,000 passengers have flown out of Hagerstown.
Neighbors in Northwest D.C. should be hearing less noise from airplanes. The Federal Aviation Administration announcing a new flight path for planes arriving to Reagan National Airport. Now, the new path has planes flying over the Potomac River away from residential neighborhoods. Thousands of complaints to the FAA forced the change, and Ken Buckley, who lives in the Palisades, has helped lead the charge.
This week was a good test because I noticed that most of the planes during inclement weather that last week were over the river.
The new flight path only changes arrivals, not departures, and that's an issue Buckley says he plans to tackle as well.
Well, over in Baltimore, air traffic at BWI is breaking records. The Maryland Department of Transportation announced 2.6 million flyers passed through BWI in June. That's 11% higher than the same time last year. 2024 also set a new record fiscal year for BWI with just over 27 million passengers recorded.
In Arlington, Virginia, a Marine who died trying to save his crew in a helicopter crash is being honored for making the ultimate sacrifice. You can see him here. Corporal Spencer Collard, who is a Marine Corps Osprey that crashed during a military exercise in Australia last year. Collard was able to escape the crash, but according to testimony, he ran back into the burning cockpit to try to rescue his fellow crew members. His family, on behalf of Collard, is now receiving the Navy and Marine Corps Medal, the highest non-combat honors.
Just go in there and to do that just totally unselfishly, you know, it says a lot about him.
The same medal was presented to then Navy Lieutenant former President John F. Kennedy for his heroism during World War II.